etc. We create illusions. That's why a lot of people would, a lot of guys would want to earn money in order to be with better women, etc., 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 or like want to buy a fancier car. Why? Because his end goal is still reproduction in his head. So the body is an illusion. I have been someone who has been greatly attached to his physical structure because I suffer from hypothyroidism, and then afterwards I got a mental health issue as well, which was depression, and then that turned into a whole another story. So I have been playing with the body, not just physically but mentally as well, because there have been days where for 10 years I have loved training in the gym, but there have been days where my depression or anxiety has kicked in to the point where I'm scared of putting on my clothes and I'm scared of thinking that I have to go to the gym. And these are very new things for me. This is part of 2020 and 2019, which I have not shared with anyone yet. But I have had encounters with, that illusion many different times and many different formats, in formats where I've been incredibly weak and at times when I have been strong. And what I've realized is that at the end of the day, you should just think of it as an instrument through which your mind goes
Perceive.
outward. Yeah, goes outwards and merges into nature. It's like it's a limb of an organism if you think about it, and treat it as so. Treat it as just an instrument. If you're someone who is having insecurities with your body, understand that that is not you. That is one part of who you are. And whatever insecurities you have, you can try to change them. You can try to build on them, etc. And that experience will tell you at the end of it that all this hard work was actually not worth it because the illusion was created in your mind. So you could have shattered it in an instant, but that would be if you're someone like a Zen Buddhist who can do things in an instant with his mind. But since most of us are not, we have insecurities and anxieties of different kinds. Let's go on to another question. Um, Varun, can you see? Like right now, I'm scrolling through questions. Is that visible to you?
No, I can only see when you
Okay.
plug up a question.
Okay. So I'm going to read out a few. One is, I think, very much technically into your field. I'll read out a couple. One is, does AI have the ability to take on marketing jobs? I think that's one.
Let's
Um
keep it philosophical. When
Sorry?
when people come to watch us, right? They come to watch us. Um, the intersection of our knowledge is where I think the gold is. So let's keep it questions which are either philosophical or
Okay.
related to something that both of us can answer.
Okay, cool. Makes sense. There's quite a few interesting ones. There's one on a relationship, and then there's one which is, let's say, this one. Because let's tackle this from a philosophical or psychological perspective.
Sir, I have a question on how to stick to a particular thing or skill. You first.
Yeah. Okay. So, see, what I've realized when it comes to different skills that you have in your life. Um, Earlier in my life, I've had an approach of if I'm trying to hone a skill, I would go all out and keep on that until I become, good at it and great at it and stuff like that. For example, we were talking about the body. So the way that I train my body when I first got into physical fitness and discovered weight training and I discovered how it makes me feel, I discovered what all I could achieve through it in my mind intrinsically. I pounded the hell out of it to the point where I abused my own body and injured myself a lot. All right. But now, for example, if today I think about a skill, I think one of my skills would be the ability to speak or form my ideas into a verbal picture that I could communicate to somebody who's sitting across from me. That is why I love interactive sessions, and I am, that's why I'm not that active on a one-way platform such as social media like Instagram, and stuff, because I'm not getting the dialogue, I'm not getting the bounce back, I'm not getting the reflection that am I right, what's going on, and stuff like that. So currently, the skill that I have is, let's say, the skill to speak on something which is related to the nature of ourselves, and that is a skill which I have not tried to stay consistent to, and it is because of that reason that I have been able to remain consistent with it. I have not done it to the point where I have abused it and I have gotten bored of it. At the same time, I have not left it at all. I had major attacks of anxiety back in I think February or March, but it was a time when I had to go and face an audience, and I faced the audience at Flame University over here in Pune, and I had to speak on something, and it was a panel discussion, and my mental illness had taken a turn for the worst, and everything was going haywire, and in that situation, I had to use that voice. And I was fine using it because for the past 1 month I hadn't used it. So I was in a way looking forward to it, that even if I fuck up, I was just looking forward to the experience of getting back to practicing that skill, because a skill which you want to develop in your life has to be a skill which you enjoy. And if you enjoy it, then, best is not to do too much of it and not to do too less of it. Uh, Whatever you feel is right when it comes to what kind of skill that is, because I don't know if this applies to all kinds of skills. Like I was talking about a creative one. So for me, it does matter that my mind, body, and soul should be really in it. And the days I don't feel it, I can't create. So I wouldn't touch that skill. That's my take on it. Varun?
So how to stick to a particular thing or skill? I'm not someone who sticks to a particular skill or thing. Like I use skills for a particular goal. Like I have some idea, I want to create something, and then I learn the skill to create it, right? I never say I will learn the skill for the sake of learning a skill. I don't think I've ever done that. Like I remember the one sport I used to play well, badminton. I learned badminton only because I wanted to really win this. There's one tournament going on in my club, and very like amateurs are like joining in. So I was like, I want to join and I want to win. And the only reason I learned badminton was because I wanted to win that. So it was very goal oriented. I don't think I've ever learned anything for the sake of learning anything. Like even going to the gym when I was much younger, right, and building that body, I did it purely to because I saw this one movie. I think it's called Blade Runner or something with Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if it's Blade Runner, some Dracula movie, right? And I saw Ryan Reynolds' body in that, and I was like, I want that. So it's very goal oriented. I've never learned a skill for the sake of a skill. Um, it's more like a means to an end. And the minute I reach my goal, I look elsewhere. I think everyone should do that as well. I think that's the only good way to learn. I've never seen anybody learn a skill for the sake of learning a skill, and that never works out, in my opinion. Again,
Mm-hmm.
next
All right.
question.
Yeah, so both of your thoughts on universal language. Elon says we won't have to even speak for explaining a complex idea. Elon says it's okay, it's too much text. I'm going to something else. I'm so sorry. How do you maintain a good work-life balance is too monotonous a question. How to ignore a toxic family environment? What the fuck are you guys talking about? That's another question. Okay, yeah, so this has been happening lately. A discussion on this. I saw Tim Ferriss post a video about this. So go ahead, take it on.
Yeah, I think specialists are chutias and they're going to lose in a computer driven world because, see, computers are very good at narrow tasks. They're very, if you ask a computer just to add numbers, the computer will obviously beat the human being. If you ask a computer to do a very narrow task like design a building, it will beat a human being. But a human being is good at, picking something from the fridge for breakfast and then designing a building and then going, maybe opening Photoshop and making a poster. So multi-talented skills, I think, are what is necessary. I see the world, the future as either you will work as a delivery boy for Amazon, and that also is short-lived, or you will be an entrepreneur and build something on your own and have your own niche audience. It's either one of those two, and I don't see any space for specialists in either of those. Of course, you can be a very specialist at maybe artificial intelligence or ML or something that's very out there that ends up taking other specialists' job. So so it's like a weird role, specialist kind of role where you take other people's jobs. Apart from that, I think I don't see the world being a specialist world. It's a generalist world. We're all generalists. So, you're not just you can not just help someone on the fitness end. You can help them on the mental end. You can help them on social media. You're good at a range of things, right? So name one person who's good at only one particular thing. I haven't seen any experts. In fact, all the best in the world are generalists, and I met a lot of them in India.
Mm-hmm. I
What do you think?
uh, I agree. I mean, when I made the switch from my previous career to what I'm doing now, I just wanted to ensure that it wasn't one thing that I'm doing. That's one thing which I really, really wanted to ensure, because I did not. So in consulting, in strategy, you learn about assumptions and dependencies. And when it came to dependencies, I knew that in my life, I wanted to earn freedom more than I wanted to earn money. And
Agree.
the beautiful thing is that somehow I'm already being able to enjoy freedom a lot more. And that has come kind of early in life. But, there are different conflicts ahead. So I'll keep that aside when it comes to freedom versus money. But yeah, when I was making the switch, I just wanted to ensure that there was not one thing that I'm doing. So that is why now today I can coach. I can coach in person. I can coach a group. I can do that online. I can do that offline. Another thing I wanted to do was build up a passive income out of something like this, or a business. So that is why we built up the Freeman platform, and that is there now. Besides that, I knew that I'm not just going to be doing coaching. Speaking would be another thing. Being an influencer in the lifestyle field would be another thing. And these were never the primary target. This was the byproduct of what I was doing. That there was growth, and then obviously Instagram being a visual platform, lifestyle influencing came by the way of just the natural path of things. So that way it was pretty good that I decided to generalize in a bunch of different ways around a particular topic, because it allowed me to extend myself in many different ways. And it also keeps me open to doing more of this, which is probably even unrelated to what I'm doing right now, later on starting off something new. So, regarding being a specialist, if that is become a dependency and is a risk that you should be mitigating, then I would say that definitely don't be a specialist of any sort. Because when I was doing the research related to all of this, everybody was saying that specialize in a niche, specialize in a niche, specialize in a niche. And that never struck a chord with me, because I knew that if I even try to do one thing every day, I'm going to get bored of it. So that is why, I like now that I don't have to do one thing every day. Like every day is different for me. And that lack of structure is what my structure actually is, because I am learning to transition from a professional's mindset to the mindset of a creative person. So yeah, that's my take on it. Um, any interesting questions you see that also, Varun, just pick them up. I'm looking at more questions over here. Um,
What are your views on meditation? It's a good question. I've never
okay.
actually publicly ever spoken about it, but you first.
My view on meditation, I'm going to minimize these questions. So, my view on meditation is that I am not that well qualified to talk about it in the first place, because I am not a practitioner. And I have only attempted to meditate twice in my life. Once was in 2018, and once was in this year. And both were times when my life was incredibly hard, and I wanted to make time consciously to quiet in my mind, because the amount of outside stimulus trying to disturb me was increasing day by day. So I have tried meditation twice in my life. I have spoken about this on my main YouTube channel, the Hindi one, where I have shared which kind of meditation I did. It's a guided meditation by Sadhguru called Isha Kriya. I'm not a hardcore follower of Isha or Sadhguru, but that one meditation really struck a chord with me and was very simple. And I just like to go ahead with it. And sometimes it worked. Once in a while, it really, made me calm and stuff like that. So I'm not a practitioner with enough experience to actually talk about meditation. I'm sure there is ability in it for somebody to try out and experiment for themselves, because it is a thing which has gained tremendous popularity since the 60s, 70s, ever since the Eastern disciplines started getting infused into the West with the advent of speakers like Alan Watts and Jiddu Krishnamurti and etc. So it is definitely something which is worth trying, I would say, but it needs. And today I was having a conversation with a lady actually, and it was about yoga. And the same thing applies to yoga that applies to meditation, that it is not something that you do. It is not a part of your day, like your daily routine that you fucking got up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., you meditated, 7 a.m., you hit the gym. No, it's a lifestyle. It's definitely a lifestyle where the day revolves around the practice. For people who are serious into meditation, and for people who are serious about yoga, which would be the physical form of meditation, or rather the cosmic form in a way, because it means union, it means alignment. So, uh, their entire lifestyle is based around when their practice is going to happen in the day, and that is the amount of dedication that these things need, because these are disciplines of the mind and body at levels which are not possible to achieve within a gym or something like that. So that's my take on this.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of meditation. Um, in the sense, when I was, I think, 20 or 21 is when I first I slipped into depression because my expectation of the world and reality was different, right? And because of that, I
Hmm.
kind of slipped into a bad place. And I thought meditation was my way out, right? I thought meditation was the path outside of this. But what ended up happening with me and meditation is that whenever I start getting into something, I get obsessed with it. So I got obsessed with meditation. I was like, I need to make sure I'm meditating perfectly right. Um, I bought that machine, the Muse. Have you heard of the Muse? It's this thing, this band that you put on
Yeah,
top that it's called
but
EEG.
that's a pretty new thing, no?
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was tech that I bought, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know when I got it, but it's basically, it gives you visual feedback of whether, it gives you like an audio signal of if you're meditating right, you hear birds chirping. Otherwise, you hear like storm, like thunderstorm. And it gave me feedback. And at some point, I was meditating perfectly, right? But it's like, I just felt like those 3 hours were gone. Like if I meditate for
Hmm.
3 hours, just like those 3 hours were wiped off the table. Yes, I felt really good. But then at some point, I stopped looking for the feeling of feeling good. Like I was just like, you know, I'm okay with feeling bad some once in a while. If I'm angry, it's okay to be angry. I'm taking in the experience of life. So
Hmm.
meditation, is especially, if somebody wants like a calmer state of mind. I mean, it's some people think you can meditate and suddenly your third eye opens and you can move mountains with your hands. That's not going to happen. It's not some extreme superpower. It helps you with
Hmm.
emotional regulation, great. But at the same time, I personally felt like I didn't need it, right? And I didn't need to kind of, I didn't have the time to waste on it on a daily basis. That's all I'd like to put it out. But if it helps somebody, they should definitely stick to it. And I'm sure there are,
Yeah.
a lot of experts.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something which you got to try to, it is gonna work for you or not. Uh, I am gonna check another interesting question by this is Adarsh, but I'm gonna switch back to other people because I think we've already answered him twice. Um, this is a good question which I liked, and I think it can apply to almost anything and everything because the way it's crafted, it's very open ended. You wanna take a go at this?
Sure. So the question is goal oriented approach or artistic approach. I'm a very goal oriented guy. I want to, it has to be, something that I want to do, and I kind of find out the steps to do it. And the art, I think, comes from making mistakes. I think on the way to some particular goal, I make some mistakes, and that becomes the art. What about you?
I I've realized that being a goal-oriented person has, in this new line of work that I'm doing, goal-orientedness was good when it came to strategy consulting, but when it came to what I'm doing now, thinking that I want to record a video and then I want to edit it and then I want to upload it, until it doesn't feel like it is me talking, until then I would keep on editing. Until then I would keep on working on it, and even if normally an edit is done in, let's say, 3 hours of a simple video, where I'm just talking impromptu to the camera, I would sometimes take way more than 3 hours because, maybe I'm not fine with even just 5 seconds of the clip. And, I will think 10,000 times. I will think 10,000 times whether to include that clip or to remove it. So I have started being more artistic in my approach, while still, you know, like basically I've expanded my timeline because my timeline for everything is very constricted because that perfectionist nature or control freakishness had always been there in me. But slowly, progress in my new profession, I am leaning more towards the artistic approach because then whatever I create, even if I create one thing in a year, it's beautiful. Like I created the Freeman platform last year and I love it. It is something that I'm proud of. It is something which people are proud of who have joined in. So, I could only do it because I was 100% artistic about it. And whenever I was goal oriented about it, I was being faced with disappointment because life does not go exactly as to how we like it to go for us, you know. So that's my take. Let's look at another question. Okay. Uh, More questions on meditation. We've done that. Hmm. Look at this. Top three intellectual guys you follow and why?
You first.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really follow many really like a lot of different people simply because I think I used to do a lot of this before. I was back in college when I used to watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. I used to check out Paul Check. He was a mentor of Elliot Hulse, who had a very popular YouTube channel back then. And I used to get inspired a lot by them. But now, if I have to narrow it down to top three, I cannot because the simple amount of history that mankind has produced, there are so many people to learn from that you can find the next face you meet to be an awesome teacher in your life. So it's not about intellectual guys we follow. I think it's more about which kind of thoughts we lean towards, which kind of belief systems we like to believe in. And lately, for example, for me, I've been, watching a lot of lectures on Taoism and Eastern philosophy and stuff like that, and that has been interesting me a lot. So, Alan Watts is a guy whose lectures I've been watching, and he's
I love
really
Alan
great.
Watts.
Yeah, and
I
he's
love.
great to listen to. He's really great to listen to. So I was very inspired once by his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, and that was what had allowed me to make the plunge to leave the country, leave home, and then start life outside on my own. So I don't have any top three names to give you. Whoever asked this question, I'm sorry. Is That's just my answer to this question that you can.